I will be attempting to do one of the most difficult rebuild challenges I've ever done. I'm taking over a school in Tallahassee, Florida that is a historically black college and university known as Florida A&M University. With the school the size of about 10,000 students across the United States and over 70 different countries. FAMU is known for many things, none more greater than their world-renowned marching band, which is known as the Marching 100. FAMU is an FCS school, but we recently got an invitation to join the FBS, specifically in the MAC conference. We would be one of the first HBCUs making this transition against some of the toughest competition that we will face. And before you ask me, yes, I know it's an HBCU, and I'm not entirely sure why all of our cheerleading staff doesn't look like it. But beside the point, my goal is to rebuild FAMU in 7 seasons. And if I can't do that in 7 seasons, I'm gonna gift somebody in the comment section some Florida A&M swag. So make sure you guys like and follow, and let's get into this thing. But we have a monumental uphill battle for us. Taking a look at our program, there's not anything that we do well that would attract really big name prospects. In addition to that, our program would be coming in at a 59 overall. But the athletic department said that they believe in me and they'll give me a chance to build a squad, as we had a rather tough schedule ahead of us. And unfortunately, in our first season, we wouldn't do that well. In fact, we'd only win 2 games. We would be a bottom feeder in the MAC for our very first season, but that's okay. We got a couple of new recruits that'll be coming in that I'm super excited for. Because all of the hype surrounding Florida A&M, I was able to recruit a top 10 recruiting class. And some of these guys would be instant starters, as they would be better than much of what I had on the roster. And I also wanted to switch our game plan scheme. So we switched to an air raid offense, because if there's one thing you should know about us in Florida, we have speed. So as we came into season number 2, nobody really knew what to expect when it came to our program and what it is we could expect from our athletes. In fact, the MAC projected us to be a bottom feeder yet again this season. The first game of the second season would come up against an FCS East team, where our team actually showed to be a little bit promising. There's a couple of boneheaded mistakes that we made, but hopefully we could work some of that out throughout the season. However, a rising star for our program was a guy by the name of Andrew Flanagan, as we got our first win for the season. Unfortunately, our quarterback, Adrian Murphy, would be out for most of the season, and we don't have much quarterback depth, so there went most of our season. We would finish the season 5-7, which was a huge plus for us, and so I got a contract extension because they saw some of the progress. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of people to graduation. We did get a couple of transfer students. We'd have a top 15 recruiting class, and we bolstered some positions we really needed assistance with. Coming into season 3, we were projected to be number 2 on our side of the MAC conference, and I could already start to feel the pressure mounting on my shoulders. We would face off against one of the first powerhouse teams in my tenure at Florida A&M. We matched up against Auburn, and we had a lead going into the 4th quarter. We had a huge interception from the redshirt sophomore, Samuel Ojo. And on a crucial 3rd down and 9, where we needed to convert to win the game, our quarterback Taylor found our running back right out of the backfield and got an easy dot that gave us the first down we needed so we can kneel this football game out. And we would start the season 1-0, having taken down an SEC powerhouse. A couple of weeks later into the season, we would match up against a very tough BYU squad that just got brought into the Big 12. Starting possession of the first quarter, Taylor looks to buy some time on his feet and finds a man wide open. That's Andrew Williams for an easy dot towards the end zone that would put us on the board. In a tie ball game, he would find his trusted receiver, Andrew Flanagan, who would put the Florida A&M Rattlers on the board yet again. However, looking at a 1-score deficit, BYU with the football throws an interception to our defense in the 4th quarter of play. Our star running back, Isaiah Scott, catches the football out the backfield and sets us up for a 6-yard run that would give us the lead for this ball game. However, the defense would need to show up and make a stop here. 50 seconds left to go on this ball game. Conover is trying to find a tight window, but gets picked off by Alvarez, our redshirt freshman cornerback, who takes the football back to the 40-yard line, and we will end up winning that ball game by 1. And unfortunately, as notable as some of those wins were, it wouldn't reflect how most of our season went. Halfway through the season, we were bottom feeding in the conference, and we would end up finishing the season barely where we were last season at 4-8. However, the future is bright. Here we are with yet a top 3 recruiting class for the season. Buzz was starting to surround Florida A&M, as what we were building was something special. FAMU was turning from a rebuild to a reload as we got ready for next season. Boosters were excited, the athletic department was excited, but unfortunately, this would be the first season where I feel like we actually underperformed. We went 3-9 for the season, and I thought I was going to get fired. Fortunately, I kept my job, and the athletic director kept on telling me how I was going to be his guy, and we were going to make it to the promised land one of these days, but he understood it was going to be a process. We come into the next season, again, looking like a bottom feeder team. Starting off the season 0-1, I was determined to not let this get out of hand too early on in the season. And so here we are facing off against Arkansas State, where we would start the game off with a kick return for a touchdown. Steve Purcell, the transfer student out of Tennessee, got us on the board first. With the tie ball game, Taylor's looking to find somebody open, and everything seems to be covered. However, he does find redshirt sophomore over the middle of the field, Adrian Murphy. Knocking on the end zone, we decided to do a simple read option where the quarterback would keep the football and would take the contact to score. And Taylor, tapping into his inner Johnny Manziel, found an opportunity to run the football, and Derek Taylor would score that, getting us the lead once again. And in case you need to see a bad man go off, there again is none other than Andrew Flanagan, Mr. Faithful, his entire college career with us, as we would win the first game of the season against Arkansas State. This was the season we had all been waiting for. top 10 passing offense, top 80 rushing offense, and our defense was top 25 in both categories, and we would finish 11-1 for the season. I finally felt some breathing room with my job security, and some of our players would be listed up with some of the best in college football. However, for our first conference championship matchup, we go up against Toledo of Ohio, and we would have a 4-point lead that would be sealed by the defense, who picked the football off over the middle of the field as the momentum continued to swing in the favor of the Florida A&M Rattlers. Finds Williams on the sideline, who beats 3 different defenders to get to the end zone.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
And we would, for the first time ever, be crowned the MAC champions. This was a huge milestone for our program and for my boys, but I knew that the job was not done yet. Having made this massive leap, every big team in college football wanted a shot at us next. They wanted to knock off this small school in Tallahassee, Florida, so we would open the next season against top-ranked University of Texas. In case you missed it, we have the number 3, number 2, and number 1 team on our schedule. But Taylor said that he wants the smoke, and so ad-libbing a little bit on his feet, he finds a wide open man in the end zone. The Rattlers would strike first on the board, and Taylor finds the freshman Stevenson, which was one of our first 5-star recruits we've gotten in a while, that outruns every Texas defender and gets into the end zone for a 59-yard touchdown. As the redshirt sophomore running back Darren Smith punches this right up the middle to seal the deal for these Rattlers. Florida A&M will pick up the first, and with no timeouts left, the University of Texas will take their first loss as the Florida A&M Rattlers move to 1-0. The Aggies come into the second week of the season, and the Rattlers put their best foot forward against this playoff contending football program as Mark Miller out of Alabama scores off of this incredible pass play. Even in this torrential downpouring South Florida rain, Taylor gets the football out to one of his receivers, Johnson, who catches it along the sideline. It is a foot race with a chance to take a commanding lead. Something out of a Sports Center top 10 clip happens where the senior Adrian Murphy high points this football into the end zone. The Rattlers would move to 2-0 for the season, and halfway through the regular season, we would be looking at an undefeated record both in regular season and in conference. Our next matchup features number 2 FAMU versus number 6 Oregon. Up 2, FAMU needs their defense to make a play. Quarterback for Oregon decides to scramble but gets destroyed over the middle of the field. And on this 3rd down and 6, Oregon tries to keep their hopes alive, but Davis is picked off. FAMU will get the interception, and Phillips along the sideline has one man to beat as he's shoelace tackled right before he gets into the end zone. So they get the big boys out for some power football as they hand that back off to Darren Smith, who scores the touchdown and creates a 2-deficit lead. Huge 4th down and 4, and Oregon has no other choice but to try to keep this drive alive. And unfortunately for them, it is knocked down, and Florida A&M will knock off number 6 Oregon as they continue their magical season run. FAMU sits with the number 2 offense and defense in the land, and they would finish this regular season with a 12-0 record. They would also win the MAC Conference Championship, along with having a top Heisman finalist finish number 3 in the standings. FAMU also touted a lot of national player recognition, but now we're lining up on college football's biggest stage. The national championship game pits 2 Florida teams against each other. It's the battle of the orange and green, FAMU versus Miami. FAMU, holding a 6-point lead, is trying to continue pushing the deficit. The highly recruited tight end Stevenson gets us within shooting distance, and in a gutsy play call, FAMU decides to go for it on 4th and goal, and they are rewarded. And with the crucial defensive stop, Darren Smith with the spin move gets to the sideline, and it is a foot race between him and the safety. Unfortunately, he would get tackled inside the 10-yard line as Darren Smith with a 63-yard run sets up this action play for Taylor that does get picked off. Miami is very much still alive in this ball game, but with the 13-point deficit and FAMU with the football, coach putting all the trust in his players, Taylor finds somebody over the middle of the field and drops her right in the breadbasket. 3rd down and 1, they set up a trusty read option play where they'll hand that off to Darren Smith, who jumps himself not into the end zone, but jumps his team into college football history as the Florida A&M Rattlers would finally get a chance to hoist the trophy that they had set out for so long ago. It's been a long journey, and you can't say the name FAMU anymore without putting the phrase champs right before or after our names. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what team we should rebuild next.